think we're live. Right, we're going to start our seated Pilates. There's a few things for you to gather from around the house before we start. Things that you all have in your house. An elastic band, that's probably going to be the hardest thing to find. Preferably a fairly thick one. The thicker it is, the better. I'll show you closer. So I've got a thick band there. The other thing is just an old scarf of any description. And then, like we've used before, something to massage your feet. So a trigger point ball is quite good, or a golf ball, a lacrosse ball. Failing that, a rolling pin, if you don't mind using that on your feet. So we're going to start massaging the feet. You can do this sitting down. You want to put more pressure in, you're going to stand up. But you can't get this wrong. I want you to be as thorough as possible. So you're rolling the inside of the arch. You're rolling the ball of the foot. The middle of the arch. You've got loads and loads of little joints in the feet, and they all are designed to move. You don't tend to get as much movement as they could do with. Just before your heel as well, it tends to be quite a tender spot there, so let's try and press into that. And this is what you're using your rolling pin for if you haven't got a ball. Okay, and then switching over, same on the other foot. Just doing that actually, before you do the other foot, you might feel a difference. It would have helped your foot already just by massaging it. The same with the other one. On the inside of the arch, really don't be afraid to push, even though it might be tender, along the centre of the arch. The more you can push into it, the more you're going to mobilise your little joints. And then just before the heel, there can be a tender bit of fascia there. That's quite tight, it's useful to press and release that. Especially if you've ever had plantar fasciitis, which is fairly common, very painful heel. Okay, and then we're going to sit down. We're going to use our elastic bands first of all. These are a really useful tool if you've got tightness in your big toe joint. I might just move the camera so you can see my feet a little bit better. So very often people get bunions or they just get really stiff in their big toe joints. So if you can put the band about halfway up your big toes, obviously if it pings off, put it a bit lower. But it's about halfway up or 2/3 of the way up. No, 1/3 of the way up. Yeah, about a third of the way up. It should stay on. And if you wriggle your feet apart, you should feel like your big toes, you should see your big toes being pulled closer together away from your second toes. So you've got a nice gap here. And if you do nothing else, if you've got bunions, if you just sit in the evening with a plastic band around your toes, you're going to help to loosen up that toe joint and bring it back into alignment. So we're going to start there. We're going to keep that inward pull from the elastic band. I'm going to lift all our toes up and try and spread them all out. That might not be very easy if you've never done it before. It might require quite a lot of concentration. You're going to spread them out. And then you're going to put them, trying to get all of them in camera, and then you're going to put them down. Let's start with the little toes. So put your little toes down first, then the next two, then the next two, then the next two, and then both big toes. Ideally, they're still spread out when you put them down. And then lifting them, spreading them again. Let's do this bit again. Little toes down, then the next two, the next two, the next two, the next two. And you put your big toes down. This should be lovely and spread out on the floor. From there, we're going to try and lift the arches of the foot, which is what we did the other day. You had a sock underneath your foot the other day, so you can do that again if it helps. But you're trying to lift these little joints up here. a bit like your foot knuckles, actually little knobbly bits that pop up there, whilst you're keeping the tips of your toes on the floor. And then again, you're going to separate your feet, your toes as much as you can, and then little toes, working your way down, keeping them separated, and then lifting underneath the metatarsals, lifting those little foot knuckles up, trying to keep the tips of the toes on the floor. And we'll do that a few times. You can do more of this because, as I say, you can just do it while you're watching telly. The more you do it, the easier it will be, and the less discomfort you'll get in your feet, the more strength and mobility you'll have in your feet, which is obviously going to help give your legs more feedback. It's also going to help with your balance. Okay, so let's just do 2 more. Spread the toes, put them down, one by one by one. Keep the big toes, and even as you lift the arches, if you can keep a little gap between your big toe and your second toe, then fantastic. Might take a bit of work. And then one more. Spread the toes, put them down one at a time, and then lifting and holding that little lift. You might get a bit of cramp underneath the balls of the feet, but that's just a sign that your muscles aren't used to working. Okay. And then we're going to do one more thing with the feet. I want you to sit nice and tall. You're going to keep them spread out. Let's try and keep the right big toe pushed into the floor whilst you lift your left leg up and down. So you're trying to keep those toes spread and pressing into the floor, especially your right big toe. You're pushing that big toe into the floor as you lift the other leg. Obviously, the stronger your band is, the more work you're going to get underneath that right foot. I'm going to do a few more of these. And then same on the other foot, spreading the toes of the left foot, pushing that big toe into the floor, that left big toe as we lift the right up and down, pushing the big toe into the floor all the time. My big toes wanting to come into my second toes and trying to keep it away. Pushed into the floor. Okay, and then we're going to take the band away. And I'm going to move my camera a little bit so you can see my face. But we're still going to be thinking about the feet. The feet are going to be really solid on the floor. And we're going to start to get our back moving. So I'll show you from the side. I've done this one before. You're going to push your heels into the floor as you send the back of the rib cage towards the back of your chair. And touch your chin. And then use your hands to pull your knees towards you and your chest forward. So push the floor with your feet as we curl in on ourselves. Pull the knees with your hands as the ribs come forward. Push the floor with your feet as the ribs go back. Pull the knees with the hands as the ribs come forward. And if that isn't enough to be thinking about, also want you to breathe in as you pull the ribs forward. And breath out as you send the ribs back. Breath in. Pull the knees as you go forward. Breath out. Push the floor with your feet as you go back. And then a little bit quicker. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more. Make it as big as possible. Including your head. Nose up. Nose in. Okay. And then we're going to do some rotation. So you're going to think of pushing your left foot into the floor as you lift up and look over your right shoulder. And then come back. You're going to push your right foot into the floor as you lift up and look over your left shoulder. And come back. So still using the floor. Make sure you're far enough forward that you can push your feet into the floor. Left foot into the floor as you turn up. Spiral up to the right. Right foot in the floor as you lift and turn to the left. And you can use your hand as well. So your left foot and your left hand are helping you to go around. So the right hand and the right foot help you to go to the left. And let's keep going. Inhale to lift and turn. Exhale back. Inhale, lift the ribs and turn. Exhale back. 2 more. Inhale, lift and turn. Turn the head as well. Good. And then into our side bends. So we're going to reach the right arm over and then come back. We're going to reach the left arm over and then come back. So push into your left foot as you reach over to the left. Push into the right foot as you reach over to the right. And we'll take a breath in. Because then we get more movement in the rib cage. A breath in. Maybe a couple more. Okay, and then let's just push the shoulders up and back and down. We're going to repeat the first one, the flexing and extending of the spine, this time with our hands here on the shoulders. So again, if I turn side on, the ribs go back, the elbows come forward. This time the ribs come forward, the elbows go back. So we go ribs back, elbows forward, ribs up, elbows back. Big circles, looking in towards your tummy, and then lifting your rib cage as the elbows go back. Couple more. Inhale, ribs up. Exhale, ribs back. Okay, and then coming back to the center. Right. I didn't tell you to bring anything other than the what's the name, scarf. So let's just push that up into a ball, scrunch it up into a ball, and put that between your knees. Use that instead of a cushion. All right, so we're going to sit a little bit further back now, so you've got more support under your thighs. Put your fingertips just inside your hip bones at the front. And let's start taking a nice deep breath in. On the breath out, I want you to imagine you're trying to draw your hip bones in. You're also trying to draw your tailbone in at the back. So that's very subtle. You're going to fill up as you breathe in. And then as you breathe out, you're going to get more compact, very slightly more compact. Inhale, you're going to fill up. Exhale, think of drawing your hip bones and your tailbone in. Hip bones at the front, trying to pull in, your tailbone at the back, trying to pull in. So keep going with that breath, filling up and then drawing in. You should feel with your fingers just inside your hip bones that there's a little bit of tightening happening. And that's your core muscles. It's very, very deep layer of muscles engaging. So let's now add in a squeezing of the scarf between your knees as you exhale. Inhale, you're filling up. Exhale, drawing in hip bones, tailbone, squeeze the scarf. Inhale, let go. Exhale, drawing in. If you've never done this before, it's going to feel very subtle. But if you can practice that feeling of drawing your hip bones and your tailbone in, as you blow all the air out, you'll start to feel maybe it's a little bit more obvious, that tightening feeling. Now we're going to try and hold on to that tightening feeling. We're going to take the scarf away. You're still going to breathe. You're going to try and breathe normally, but all the time there's a feeling we're trying to draw our hip bones in and our tailbone in. So there's a little bit of something happening just inside the hip bones on the tummy. Now I want you on the exhale to lift one knee and on the inhale to lower it. And we're staying as tall as we can. Exhale, inhale to lower. You're trying with that tightening in to keep your pelvis nice and still and to keep your back nice and still. And that might be surprisingly hard for some people who are not used to sitting upright, who are used to letting go of their core. So keep using the breath out. That's when it's a bit easier to contact your core. Exhaling, drawing in and lifting, inhale to lower. Exhale, drawing in and lifting, inhale to lower. Let's do 4 more. And then let's just put your hands on your knees and do a big roll down. So we're going to curl in, chin in. The hands are going to slide up over the end of the knees as we bring our noses towards our belly buttons. Just going to slide the hands as far down as you can. Let the head hang. And then come back up. Drawing the tummy in, sending the lower back backwards, then the middle back, and the upper back, and then the head. And then again, tuck the chin. As the hands slide over the edge of the knees, your nose is going towards your tummy. And then the crown of the head will go down towards your knees. And then we'll come up, drawing the tummy in, lower back, stacking up the middle back, stacking up the upper back, and lifting the head. And just one more time, tucking the chin. Imagine you're peeling away from a wall. So the chin comes in, the shoulders peel away, the middle back peels away. The lower back peels away as the hands go all the way down the legs. And then we're coming back, drawing the tummy in, imprinting against the imaginary wall, the lower back, the middle back, the upper back, and the head. Okay. A little bit more for the legs now. Wriggle yourselves forward. Knees about hip width, hands in front. We're going to start very subtle, pushing into the heels and trying to feel that you're squeezing your sitting bones. And just have a look at your legs. The knees aren't doing this. You want to try and keep your knees above your heels and your heels about hip width. And as you push into your heels, you're going to try and squeeze the sitting bones. The bigger we can make this, providing your chair isn't on a very slippery floor, the bigger we can make it and the slower, the better. But I really want you to imagine that you're trying to pinch your sitting bones together. And then you're going to go a little bit bigger. We're going to have one big push. In a minute, we're going to come up standing, push, and standing up. I want you to bring your heels together now. Let me show you back here. And your toes apart, so in a tiny knee. You're going to try and squeeze your sitting bones together, as well as keeping your heels squeezed together. And you can grab your chair if you need to. You're going to go up and down, up and down. So your feet are narrow, the V is narrow enough that when you go up and down, you can keep squeezing your heels together. It does depend a little bit on the shape of your legs. If you have sway back legs and your calves meet before your heels, then you can try and squeeze your calves instead. But there needs to be a squeezing together in the lower legs, as well as a squeezing where your sitting bones are. Let's keep going all the way up, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down, holding your chair. See how high you can get with your heels. Keep that squeezing, that's going to make a big difference to where you're working. If you can squeeze your sitting bones, you can squeeze your heels. There's lots of work. The buttock muscles, the inner thighs, and the calves. Okay, and then just bend your knees. Let's stretch your calves out. So you're going to either take your the ball that you've got, or you're going to take your rolling pin. You're going to put the ball or the rolling pin underneath the ball of your foot. And put your heel on the floor. Then you're going to take your other foot forward. In fact, you might not need to go forward to get a stretch in that calf. You're creeping the free foot as far forward as you need to get a stretch in the back calf. We're going to stay there. So back knee nice and straight. Ideally, you shouldn't be bending down like me, but I'm not very good with my camera and I keep chopping my head off, so I'm going to do that. I'm just trying to relax as much as you can in that position. That will be quite intense through that muscle. Let's also check all your toes are pointing forward. That foot isn't turning out too far. Okay, and then we'll switch over. So put the ball of the left foot on the ball or on the rolling pin. Sorry, the other foot, whichever foot you haven't done. Heel on the floor. Stepping the other foot forward. And you've got a straight back knee, a bent front knee. And we're just holding it there. And have a little look again to see that all your toes are pointing in the same direction. We haven't got that heel coming in and the toes sticking out. I'm going to hold that for a little while longer. Then we're going to get back on the chair. Okay, let me just check how long I've been going. 21 minutes. I need to wrap this up, don't I? One more thing, because we've got our scarves. Let's use our scarves. We're going to have our palms facing up. I'm going to do a little bit of rotator cuff and then forward. Moving them back and then forward. Back and forward. Seems really easy. It's quite easy. We're trying to contact some smaller muscles, some deeper muscles in the shoulders, so we don't want to overload them. Okay, we're going to keep the hands back and do little pulses. Hands going back, elbows going forward. This was that strange one where you're trying to push your elbow forward as well as taking your hands back. Elbows forward, hands back. Elbows forward, hands back. Okay. And then we're going to bring the arms to this position. Same muscles. You're still doing an external rotation with the upper arms, but this time it's like your elbows are on a tabletop. Hands going back, elbows forward. Make sure your shoulders aren't scrunched up, but they're dropped. You've got your chest bone lifted. And then we're going to keep the hands back and do little pulses here. And it's the same thing. Can you imagine your elbows are going forward as your hands are going back? Elbows forward, hands back. Elbows forward, hands back. Okay. And then pick up your scarf. Go nice and wide to start with. You're going to take your scarf up over your head and bring it back. And then up and over and take it front. Now you might need to, that might have been impossible. You might need to go wider still to make it happen. Or if it feels relatively easy, bring your hands a little bit closer together. So get a nice stretch through the shoulders. And you don't want to hold your breath. Just taking your arch to your back. And drawing your tummy muscles in to make sure you're not sticking your ribs out as you go overhead. Okay, let's have one more. And then I've gone much longer than I promised I would. So I will stop there. And I'm not going to do another one this week, but happy Easter, and we'll pick up again on Monday afternoon.